Madam Clerk, let's get started.
Roll call. Councilmember Morrell.
Here?
Councilmember Moreno. Here. Councilmember Green.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas. Councilmember Jeruso. Councilmember Harris. Councilmember King. We have 5 members. We have a quorum.
All right, first up, we have the invocation from Pastor Boutin.
May we all stand for a moment of prayer. Dear God, how we honor you, how we adore you, how we thank you for the many blessings that you have given to us today. God, we pray now that your presence would be in this meeting, dear God. We ask now that you would bless our council, that you would grant them wisdom that only you can give, Father. We pray even now, dear God, as we bring awareness and attention this month to domestic violence, God, we pray for all those who are suffering because of that, and we pray that you would remember them and help them throughout this season. God, bless every citizen that is here, dear God. Let us do everything today in your name and your name only. We ask all these blessings, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I will lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's get started.
Council members, we need to suspend the rules to convene the meeting for October the 23rd at 9 a.m. to take up special orders of business on breast cancer awareness.
I will move. Someone will have to go in the side room and pull out a voter. All right. Everybody vote your machines? That's all right. This is yours.
We have approval of the minutes, the meeting of September the 11th, 2025, and September the 25th, 2025.
I will move. Second by Council Vice President Moreno. Please vote your machines. 5 yeas, no nays. The minutes are approved.
Consent agenda. We have a communication from Aaron Spears, Chief of Staff and Council Utilities Regulatory Office. This should be marked received. We have a communication from Belinda Parker Brown, co-founder and CEO, Louisiana United International, Inc. This should be marked received. We have a communication from Amy B. Trepanier, Director of Personnel, City of New Orleans, Department of Civil Service. This should be marked received. We have a communication from Jennifer Avegno, MD, Director, Department of Health, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received. We have a communication from Grace Espanizo, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans. 1023. This should be marked received. We're on top of page 4. We have a communication from Dan Jetras, Infrastructure Projects Administrator, Office of Resilience and Sustainability, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. Okay. We have a communication from Kyle Holman, Acting Director, Project Delivery Unit, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. We have a communication from Nathaniel Fields, Director, Office of Homeless Service and Strategy, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. On top of page 5, we have a communication from Ann E. Kirkpatrick, Superintendent of Police, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. We have a report of Brian Laparoli, Chief Operating Officer, Chief Investigator, Coroner's Office, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received. We have a report of Romy S. Samuels, Director of Finance, Department of Finance, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received. We have the report of Joseph W. Threat, Senior, Chief Administrative Officer, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received. On top of page 6, we have the report of LaKenya Collins, CPA, Chief Financial Officer, Criminal District Court, Parish of Orleans. This should be marked received. We have a report of Jennifer Avegno, MD, Director, Department of Health, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received. We have a report of Maxwell Saradulo, Co-Chair, New Orleans Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee. This should be marked received. Deferred to 1023. I have a report of Cassandra B. Robert, MBA Finance Manager, Orleans Parish Communication District. This should be marked received. We have on top of page 7, the report of Robert D. Rivers, Executive Director, City Planning Commission, City of New Orleans. This should be marked received and deferred to 1023. We have the report of Bianca Brown, Chief Financial Officer, Office of the Sheriff, Parish of Orleans. This should be marked received. We have a report of Bianca Brown, Chief Financial Officer, Office of the Sheriff, Parish of Orleans. This should be marked received. We have ordinance calendar number 35,231 by Councilmember Harris, municipal address 325 Andrew Higgins Drive, zoning docket 3325. On top of page 8, we have ordinance calendar number 35,232 by Councilmember Harris, municipal address 1122 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard, zoning docket 3625. We have ordinance calendar number 35,233 by Councilmember Green, zoning docket 3725. Resolution R25-52024 by Councilmember Green. The Public Works Committee recommended approval. Those are all the matters on the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. We have, I think, a bunch of comments on this agenda. Where are my cards? There they are. All right. Mr. Burnside, I'm sure you have comments, so come on up and I'll get through the rest.
Hello, thank you. I'm sitting here hoping that doing that gets a little bit growler.
Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. Yes, 2 comments, number 1 and number 23. Number 1, I'm still waiting for the pole to be moved, of course. We were told that various works would be done to get rid of the traffic light and to put in stop signs, and one hopes that such things get funded. Mentioning funding, we go to 23 and we find out that that's not mentioned in the agenda, but that's the 9th Ward football stadium. So getting Resolution 25-524 was a non-trivial act this morning. But when we did get it, it turns out that 7 things are being removed from the upcoming bond list in order to make way for approximately $25 million for the football stadium. And strangely, all the 7 tend to deal with the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center. So 7 things are being removed because we find it desirable to remove the following 7 projects. Acquisition of a new 120-ton AC chiller. Creation of a rear entrance driveway and gate to allow emergency vehicle direct access. Changing all cell doors from outswing to inswing with Brink security locks. Consolidation of 2 security cameras and 1 server platform for consistent accessibility, recording, and storage. A series of general building repairs and upgrades, including replacement of window caulk and pick-proof caulk. I'm not sure what pick-proof caulk is, but it sounds interesting. And finally, we come along with replacing metal furnitures and construction of an 18-foot wide, 15-foot high security fence with pedestrian gates suitable for jail facilities. So football stadiums are not free, and they do cost money. And I would suggest that there are other ways to raise funds than to pile it into the upcoming bond election. You could build yourself a stadium security district and have it encompass half the city and raise money the same way we do for the Superdome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up.
Mr. Chair, I do wish to comment on one important issue. This particular matter deals with a movement of monies from the from another project, which is a boxing gymnasium that would make an additional feature available for the 9th Ward Stadium, which is already funded by federal and state, and also a local allocation. So the matters that Mr. Burnside brought up, we will seek to include in the capital campaign. But I don't want people to walk away thinking that this stadium is taking away an ability to get things done at the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center, because there are restrictions on being able to move that money. This is a very specific relative to moving monies from a boxing gymnasium to a stadium, which is in a community that is in need of development, and of which, with the support of the council, I've been very deliberate in making funding available for projects that will result in a new pharmacy, the relocation of the residents of Gordon Plaza, which is already done, the new multipurpose stadium. So the bottom line is that it's important to recognize the specifics of what is here, and that those needs of the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center will be addressed. But it's also important to recognize that we need to do everything that we can to make resources available to work with our children before they get to the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center, and that's part of the motivation for this stadium. It's not just a football stadium, it's an investment in a community that has been ignored for too long, that has been underserved, and it's a significant investment in our youth, so that maybe in the future, we have fewer residents of the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center.
All right, next up we have Naja Carr. Naja Carr. I can go on the list. I mean, I might be pronouncing it's Naja Carr, 10. No, you have to go to the, up there. Yeah, and you go one at a time and you get 2 minutes each. When you add an item to the consent agenda, what it does is it allows you to comment on it. So everyone who's filled out a card will have the ability to make a 2-minute comment on the item that was added to the consent agenda. That's part of being the consent agenda and having a communication. So,
Okay, our item number is number 2
yes,
on page 3.
that is correct.
That's what we're going to be addressing right now?
Correct. And when you add an item to the communication agenda, what it does, it allows you to comment on it. So each of you will be given 2 minutes to go to the podium, who fill out a card, and comment on the item that was added to the consent agenda. Okay?
Okay, good morning. My name is Naja Carr, and I'm here to speak upon Resolution LSB 8. The reason why I was a prior state employee, and this affects the state employees, and this is like to make everybody, the resolution LSB 8 is to make everybody aware of what that a proclamation is coming through that's going to be made law to make all the state employees at will.
So, yeah, just pause the time for a second. Someone pause it for me. All right. So just so everyone's on the same page, there was a Louisiana State Senate resolution that put a constitutional amendment on the ballot for next April.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm a former senator, so I reviewed it once you sent the correspondence. And that passed the legislature. Now, I want to note for the record for everyone, all of the New Orleans delegation, all of the Democrats voted against it. But it passed regardless through the House and the Senate. So it put on the ballot for April of next year a constitutional amendment to change the classification of state employees. And basically what it'll do, as I read it, going forward, all state employees will be at will.
Yeah.
So basically, they cannot remove the classification for people who are currently employed, but basically it will prospectively implode civil service at all, because basically it'll turn every new employee at the state level, should the constitutional amendment pass, it will make every future employee at will with no civil service protection. That's correct, right? So far?
Correct.
Right, so that passed the legislature this past session, and it is now on the ballot for April. And so I'm assuming we're trying to bring awareness to what's on the ballot,
Yes,
because
sir.
if it passes the ballot, it will basically blow up state civil service.
Yes, sir.
Okay, give her a full time. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew what you were talking about.
Thank you for the
You're very welcome.
clarification.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, I'm here to speak upon this resolution, Resolution LSB 8. The resolution demands the reinstatement of all impacted employees to their entitled positions, along with lump sum payments for lost wages, benefits, and years of service, as though the at-will actions never occurred. I also want to call for the Department of HUD, HANO, and the Louisiana Department of State Civil Service to follow constitutional civil service rules for layoffs and reemployment lists moving forward.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much for your time.
Next person we have, through Ms. Carr, we had Kari Brown. Kari Brown?
Carl Brown.
Carr Brown, sorry.
Okay, can we skip over him and go to me? He can be last. We're
Okay.
all together.
Who are you?
I'm Belinda Parker Brown with Louisiana United International.
I'm getting to your car. Right, I got it right here. Go
First
right
of
ahead.
all, I really want to thank Councilman J.P. Morrell for clarifying what's going to happen when this bill have already hit the table. We've been fighting it for 2 years, and I do appreciate the fact that you are very much aware of the devastating damages that it's going to do to our citizens here in the state of Louisiana, especially New Orleans, when it comes to our civil service protection. You know, I have always, just really didn't like the fact of at-will employee because there's too much politics when it comes to at-will employee. You can snatch somebody out of position and put who you want in that position, and not even have a reason why you're taking those people, out of those positions. So when it comes to, government and state employees, civil service employees, I can just see the politics in that is just going to be horrific when it comes to who you want to be in these powerful positions, and you can just, remove them with this at-will law or act. I want to say that the key facts in regards to this revolution is, this revolution that we asking you all very kindly to publicize it, it's just as you just did, that people will be aware what's coming down the pipeline. But I'm here today to tell you that the state of Louisiana did this in 2010 illegally to the civil service workers. They took away their protection, especially the HANO workers, and they put them as at-will employees. But this is the devastating thing that they did, and that's why I'm here to speak on it, is that they took away all of their benefits. People that have worked 20 to 25 years.
Well, that's your time. If there's someone else who wants to follow up on your comments and during their time, they can. We do not allow people to see time. It's a rule. But I know you have several other people who want to speak. If you want to give someone the rest of your comments, they can read them for you.
Well, I would like for a councilman to give me just a couple more minutes, just 2 more minutes. I want to make this point. Can you guys just override that and just, because I'm here on behalf of thousands of people right now that have suffered under this.
I'm willing to make a motion to grant this woman, who is the head of her organization, 2 more minutes. Can I get a second? Second by Councilmember Thomas. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? Hearing none. You, by rule, are given 2 additional minutes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I know you guys are so kind to do that. I'm really here in support of thousands of people, families that were devastated by what they did back in 2010, right after Katrina, to the civil service employees. We have people that are still working for the state of Louisiana right now that was not entitled to retire because their benefits and their years of service was taken away from them illegally. And they went to court, they tried to fight it due to arrest judicata, people getting sick, families being devastated by this, dying. People have literally died because of this type of, treatment, irreparable harm to people, fighting to save their family and their liberties and their properties and everything. They died in the process of filing a lawsuit against the state of Louisiana for doing this to them. So, I just want to say that, the laws, the Louisiana state constitution guarantees classified permanent civil service status as a property right protected against arbitrators, termination, LASB 8 attempts to reclassify these jobs without constitutional amendment, rendering such action legally invalid. Only a proper vote can lawfully change constitutional protection for state civil service employees. So as Councilman J.P. Morrell just explained what's going to happen in April, people. This is what we want you to know. What's going to happen in April is that this is going to hit the voters' attention. And we're saying that this is blatant discrimination against people that are citizens.
Thank you. Next up, after Ms. Brown, we have Valerie Jefferson. And after Ms. Jefferson, we have George Mahadi. And then we have Mama Fatima after that. You want to go next, Mama Fatima?
Yeah.
She's already up. Why don't you go, Mama Fatima, and then we'll come back to you.
Carl Brown, you go.
Go ahead, Mama Fatima. We'll come back to you, Ms. Jefferson, in a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mama Fatima.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to be able to speak with you. I think it is important for all of us, whether we're leaders or citizens, to be aware that any kind of passage or policy of against civil service affects thousands of people. This is bigger than just the people who will suffer under civil service. People who lose their jobs don't have money. And if you lose your jobs, you can't spend money, which hurts the general economy. It also creates family difficulty, and disadvantage of those families leads to stress and pressure throughout the state that we don't need. So please, all of us that are listening today, when we consider this resolution, what hurts your brother and your sister hurts us all in the long run. So thank you for your attention, and please, everybody, oppose this law and understand that when you stand up for the civil service people, you're standing up for the entire state of Louisiana.
Thank you. Next up, we have Miss Valerie Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. Well, thank you. My name is Valerie Jefferson. I'm here to represent the NAACP New Orleans branch, the Labor Committee. I am the chair, which I am very proud of. I want to say, President, City Councilman J.P. Morrell, you answered my statement, my question, because I had stand before you all and let you all know that lack of knowledge is devastating. That this law that gonna come before us in April will devastate the city employees, their rights be unjustified. So when you affect the city employees, you're really affecting the Orleans Parish, because the city employees take care of us. We have to take care of them so they can take care of us. So thank you so much, City Chairperson J.P. Morrell. I know I'm messing that up. I am very sorry.
I know what you mean. You're good.
But nevertheless, the NAACP also belongs to COP. COP is a coalition of group of organization along with politicians that we go around different organizations and different communities to inform the community about the new laws that's coming before us. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna use my chair hat of the NAACP. We will send you a request when we have our forum. It will be on Zoom to explain this to the community. And thank you again. And we want to thank everyone that's a city councilman of your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have, Mama Fatima already spoke. We have George Mahdi, and we also have Carl Brown. You want to speak first, Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After Mr. Brown, we'll have you, Mr. Mahdi. Thank you for your patience, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mahdi.
No problem at all, sir. I thank you for the opportunity to come before you. And then What I have is a statement of facts. What the United States Housing and Urban Development HUD, the Housing Authority of New Orleans, HANO, and the Louisiana Department of State Civil Service did to the HANO permanent classified state civil service employees was illegal, unethical, a violation of the employees' constitutional rights. But most importantly, it was evil in the eyesight of God. The Word of God says in Matthew 25:40, "And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, insomuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." Therefore, if you refuse to do what is clearly directing you to do in this precise resolution, you are committing this same evil. What if this was to happen to you, your spouse, daughter, son, or grandchild? God commands us to love thy neighbor as thyself. This was clearly an evil and wrong act, and each of you have an opportunity to help LUI make it right for these employees who are still suffering devastation, not only financially, but mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's time to do the right thing. The official record, this resolution has officially recorded under instrument number 2025-32762 on October 1st, 2025 by the Court of Clerks for the Parish of Orleans. The New Orleans City Council reaffirms its commitment to protecting the rights and liberties of its citizens and offers support to Louisiana United International in seeking prompt resolution and financial compensation for the impacted employees. Support from Louisiana United International, the resolution is filed by Louisiana United.
Thank you. Mr. Mahdi.
George Mahdi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. You know, I'm speaking in regard to this Article 2. This issue, as they have alluded to, is about civil service protections. As we have been seeing on the, what's happening on the national level, on the state level, and now the local level, we've seen these federal agencies and federal procedures and protections being dismantled by MAGA interests. This is nothing more than the whims and fantasies of white nationalism and white supremacy. You know, we've had these things happening before, and now they're happening again. The question is, what are you going to do about it? About protecting the interests of the grassroots community. So I'm urging the council to protect the rights of the working class citizens or pay the price down the road. When you violate the rule of law, when you violate due process, when you violate equal protections, you don't have a government, you don't have a democracy, you don't have a commonwealth or a social order. See, these decisions will be made up to you because you have to protect the interests of the community. At some point, you're going to be affected down the road because they're removing DEI protections, affirmative action. When is it going to stop? And what are the people going to do about it? So this is something that we are bringing up here today to discuss because it's going to impact all of us. And we already seen the impacts of Reaganomics earlier, and now we've seen the impacts of MAGAism. So the choice is up to you.
Before we get started, you want to say something before I speak, Councilman Green?
Well, I just want to remind everyone of what Councilmember Morrell mentioned, and it's a fact that the Orleans delegation voted against this matter. But I just want to remind all that the voters recently rejected 4 proposals that have to be voted on statewide, so it's not necessarily a done deal. I think that the general sentiment of this council is that we will certainly be in support of the civil service system, but that's up to individual council members to decide. But I just want to say this, that we see even on the federal level, we're talking about the city's budget, but right now the federal government is in a shutdown. And the President of the United States has said that those who have been left out of being able to get compensation for this shutdown, for example, during this shutdown period, may not be entitled to their jobs, may not be entitled to being back compensated. So it is a very challenging time. But I want to encourage everybody to recognize that there are 64 parishes in the state of Louisiana. We are one parish. At the end of the day, we've got to make sure that just as was done before, that there is an effort to incorporate and to share information on a statewide level. Remember, again, that we just, as voters, rejected 4 measures that were put forward by the administration. It's not a done deal, but at the end of the day, the Constitution can only be changed by a statewide vote. So there is an opportunity to have that consideration being brought into the mix. So I just want to encourage everybody to remember that and to recognize that I and others are willing to help spread the message beyond Orleans Parish, beyond our Orleans Parish delegation. But it is a very challenging time, as we can see on a federal and state level. It requires a lot of attention and a lot of work, and I'm willing to do it, and I know a lot of people are willing to do it too.
All right, couple of things. First off, it's very disappointing that the legislature took this position. It's very disappointing that without really educating the public, that a majority of the Senate and majority of the House voted to put on the ballot an effort to remove civil service protection from state employees. It is profoundly upsetting, and it's a reminder that state legislative races matter. Because remember, until this last cycle, Republicans did not have a supermajority in the legislature. And had we been more active as collectively as a public, when they do not have a supermajority, things like this cannot happen. So for the last time immemorial, no party has supermajority, which meant that when constitutional amendments of this magnitude came up, they could not pass at all. So what you're seeing right now, what you saw this last legislative session, with this massive move, this strike against largely unionized or protected workers, was able to occur because of redistricting, which got rid of Democratic seats, and because of an organized effort to make sure that a supermajority could do these things without input. So what's next? As a council, we cannot stop this measure because it is a state constitutional measure on the ballot in April. I will talk to our staff because we have city civil service that's in our charter, and there is an interaction. I'll get clarification on that, just so that when I go on the NAACP Zoom, I can educate people on that. But what I will say, to Councilman Green's point, it is incredibly important when you're trying to defeat a constitutional amendment that you organize on a regional level. It is more than likely this council will adopt the resolution and do what we need to do locally to defeat this measure, but we have to work and go regionally to all of the major regional areas, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Lafayette, all of the major population-dense hubs, to also advocate against the measure, because a challenge we have always is that the city of New Orleans will obviously stand up against that, but there are not enough votes here by itself to defeat it. So I'm happy to work with y'all. I've worked to pass constitutional amendments. I've worked to kill them. It is a difficult process. The only gift we were given is that this was put on the April ballot and not the November ballot. Because had it been on the November ballot, we would be up the creek without a paddle right now. But I'm certainly willing to put in the time and the effort to help you organize, to help you work with I looked at that list before we came up here today of who voted against it. There are some very popular, powerful legislators that are in your corner, and I think we can certainly organize together to defeat this measure. But I'm happy, I'm sure the entire council will co-author a resolution opposed to this. Thank you for your advocacy today. I do have one point of personal privilege. There was an error on behalf of my staff where we had a timely communication that was submitted timely, but not sent to the clerk. And so we'll make sure that this letter is added to the record, but I do want to give Ms. Patricia Byrd Walton 4 minutes, because you're the only speaker, right? 4 minutes to come up here because this was an error on the council's part that we did not get this timely on the matter.
To God be the glory. Good morning, councilmen, councilwomen at large, councilmen, councilwomen on the panel. Good morning to everyone present here.
So to be clear, I gave her 4 minutes. Go ahead, ma'am.
I may not even need 4 minutes. In case anyone doesn't know who I am, I am the daughter of the New Orleans iconic legend, the giant of the, you can't hear me? I got a big mouth. The giant of the music industries around the world, the cultures, the history. And what I want to share with each of you today, and I understand this meeting today is very important because it reflects the city of New Orleans. We are resilient. We are a loving city. We come together, but at this point, I come back before you all. Thank you, Councilman J.P. Morrell, at our last hearing when you expressed that you learned about my father from your grandmother and your mother. I put before you all today, I have tourists visit my home. It's not a museum. It's a room of memories, as I stated before. What I do there, you can't do in a museum. I educate those that's eager to learn about my father. We share great moments. As I just said, I have musicians come from Sweden, Stockholm, Europe, London, Brazil, everywhere to my home to honor my dad. As of October the 29th, Sir Paul McCartney is here at a concert. Sir Paul McCartney and my father recorded an LP in '75, which was reproduced in 2019. But what I'm here for today, I thank you for giving my father honorary street naming. Unfortunately, I have people that have come to my house just this week, the last 6 months, the last year since I've been here and before. They don't know where my home is. I can't use it for as the mailing address. For as Tepsico Street, nobody come. They're questioning what is the meaning of Tepsico Street, where did it derive from? When Mardi Gras, the Mardi Gras train, the Mardi Gras Indians, when they hear the word Mardi Gras, visitors ask, where did it come from? What does it reflect? Professor Longhair, when you go to New Orleans, you ought to go to the Mardi Gras. And I'm asking you again to extend this route, this street from South Claiborne Avenue to Chapatoulas, which is my father's domain. He reflects this street. If it's any consolation, just to let you all know, my father worked with our ex-mayor, Dutch Moriel, right here, hurricane season. And all I'm saying to you all is, you're not giving this to him out of appreciation if you do. My father earned this. I can't say everything because I don't want to take the 4 minutes. I don't want to cry, but I want to make this known to you. There is a saying now, what's understood don't need to be explained. Long live Professor Longhair.
Thank you very much. We have one online comment.
Yes, we have one online comment from Susan Klein. It's for information only. She writes, I would like to know if the area of the city Clutch Consulting is being contracted for includes the French Quarter, and if not, why not? Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll move to adopt the consent agenda. Second by Council Vice President Moreno. Please vote your machines. 7 yeas, no nays. Consent agenda is adopted. Thank you very much.
Council members, we're now going to go to page 29. At the bottom of the page, we have Resolution R25-526 by Council members Moreno, Morrell, Jeruso, Harris, King, Green, and Thomas. A resolution recognizing October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of New Orleans and to honor the strength and resilience of survivors, to remember those whose lives we lost or impacted by abuse, to raise awareness of the tremendous organizations, city departments, law enforcement agencies, and service providers dedicated to providing resources to victims of domestic violence, and to reaffirm our shared commitment to creating a safe, supportive community free from violence and fear.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The resolution that we have before us right now is
a resolution that we do every year to recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month and also to acknowledge and support all the survivors that we have throughout our city who have endured domestic violence. I want to thank our health department, who's really been leading so many of our efforts here within city government, but also, of course, the New Orleans Family Justice Center, an organization that I and Councilmember Morell have worked with for many, many years, back to our time that we were in the Louisiana legislature, as we worked with the Family Justice Center along with United Way of Southeast Louisiana. Charmaine Cassiope, thank you for joining us today, to pass some of the strongest protections for victims of domestic violence. But despite having these strong laws to protect victims, there are still so many breaks in the system. And still so often we see that survivors, that victims are not taken seriously, that they're not taken seriously by the criminal justice system. And so today we are here again to talk about the issue of domestic violence, to talk about what's happening within our city, but also to let those who are enduring this, that there is help, that there is support, and that the Family Justice Center in particular is there 24/7 for anyone who needs any type of assistance and help. And I'll also say this, when it comes to calls for assistance for 911, domestic violence is at the very top. So that just tells you where we are exactly in our city, with people throughout New Orleans needing help when it comes to issues of family abuse. So with that, Jocelyn, I'll turn it over to you. I want to thank you and Dr. Avegno for all the tremendous work that you all have been doing in this space, and really showing that cities can actually take very proactive steps to help assist victims. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Council President Marino. So this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It comes around every October. My name is Jocelyn Pinkerton. I'm the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Program Manager with the City of New Orleans Health Department. I'll be brief today, but I did want to take a moment to brag a little bit about our programs, especially as I know that this council is going to be making some difficult decisions in the next month relating to the city's budget. So our Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Program is housed under the Office of Violence Prevention within the Health Department. I'll always say this, and I'll say it again, that is because we really recognize that domestic violence is a pervasive public health issue that is really connected to all of the other work that we do at the Health Department. I also want to say, again, I'm going to brag about us a little bit, but it's really our partners that are also sitting behind me who do this work every day that we also want to advocate for and lift up, many of whom also receive city funding. So the New Orleans Family Justice Center, the New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, the District Attorney's Office, NOPD's Special Victims Division, and Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. We do a lot of work in the Health Department to coordinate all of these partners. We run, lots of meetings. We do a lot of trainings. We run case reviews. And we work really closely with these partners, and we see the work that they do every day on behalf of survivors. So I'll just highlight a couple of our programs that we're really proud of. Obviously, our Advocacy Initiated Response Program that we spoke about in front of council recently. This program is when we have community-based advocates from the Family Justice Center that reach out to identified victims after every single NOPD incident to offer resources, safety planning, and support. This program is something that is a real representation of partnership between the city, between the police department, and between our community programs to really look at how we can support victims in a holistic way and connect them to resources and support that they need. At the Health Department, we also run our New Orleans Domestic Abuse Fatality Review Team. This is a panel of the state's fatality review team, and we review every domestic-related fatality in the city on an annual basis. We gather a team of over 30 professionals to review really the worst outcomes that we see related to domestic violence and identify gaps and provide recommendations for how to prevent future fatalities. While a lot of our work focuses on improving responses, we also work towards prevention as well, focusing on new families and young children under the age of 5 with our prevention initiative. We know that this can be a really vulnerable time for families, so really working with those providers on how to promote safety. And finally, I'll just say that I'm proud that this year we are sort of doing continuing ongoing training for all of our city's first responders. So we train 911 operators, we train EMS personnel, and we train all NOPD on really best practices for survivor-centered response to domestic violence. So we are here to recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have so many people, here today that do a lot of work on behalf of survivors, but we also see this as a call to action because we know there's a lot more that we need to do. So as mentioned earlier, domestic violence is the #1 reason that New Orleanians call 911 for a law enforcement response. It is a significant and pervasive issue in our community. On average, NOPD receives over 30 domestic violence related incidents a day. That's a lot. And this is an issue that really impacts everybody in our community, not just victims, but their families and loved ones as well. Unfortunately, in the last 5 years, at least 83 people have lost their lives to domestic violence in Orleans Parish. So far in 2025, at least 6 people have lost their lives. I think since I wrote that slide, unfortunately, that number has gone up. So we look at sort of, again, the worst outcomes of violence in our city and how we can work to prevent those, but we also recognize that violence in the home, violence between intimate partners, is an issue that impacts really everybody in one way or another. And so we really appreciate the support of our partners and of the council and of the city in recognizing that this is an issue that we can all address together. I wanted to stay brief today, but I did want to highlight that the New Orleans Family Justice Center has a lot of events this month. Again, we are really working to raise awareness about domestic violence, obviously not just this month, but across, throughout the year. I wanted to highlight we are doing a candlelight vigil with the Family Justice Center on the afternoon of October 29th. There'll be a march from the Family Justice Center to City Hall, and we'll do a vigil. And I think, again, this is also an opportunity this month to remember those that have lost their lives, but also to view this as a call to action to recognize this issue and how we all need to work together in prevention. Finally, I'll say a lot of what we do at the health department, again, is related to sort of training and improving responses. So we're proud to put on a training series this holiday season, sort of focusing on improving information for providers, kind of coming together, recognizing why we do this work, and making sure that our responses are survivor-centered. So we'll be doing that. We have a lot more information on our website as well. So wanted to highlight that here, along with a page of all the resources available in the city for folks that might want more information. So I will pause there. Thank you so much for having us.
Does anyone else want to make any comments? Misty?
I will make a comment. First, I want to say thank you to each and every last one of you, because you all paved the way for us to provide these services that we provide. So you get it and you understand. But I have to say, and I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to ask that everybody behind me that do this work every day to please stand. I asked them to stand because they are our victors. Why? Because this work is hard.
Yes.
It is not easy, but they come every day, trauma-informed, ready to go to help our citizens of New Orleans and surrounding parishes who have been hurt and devastated or living in fear or danger every day. It's not easy, but they show up and they're ready. So I applaud them, because without them, we couldn't do it. Without our amazing partners, we cannot do it. It takes all of us. And sometimes it's not easy when we're making decisions. Sometimes we may not make the right decision, but when we lean on each other and we lift each other up, we help each other to see what is the best decision for the survivors.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we all want to take care of the survivors and their families, because we don't want nobody to be a victim of a homicide. We don't want kids to grow up without their parents, because it could be a mother or father, one deceased or both, or one in jail. We want them to have healthy lives. So what we're doing, we're working together, and we're going to continue working together, but we're building on our prevention. We have to expand our prevention. We have to expand our education. We have to expand on our knowledge as it relates to strangulation and what that does, and how that impacts families, and how if we can get in there and teach and understand as the providers, what does that mean, then we can make a difference. I can go on and on and on, and I know we have a short amount of time. I just want to say on behalf of Mary Claire Landry, the New Orleans Family Justice Center, we appreciate you. We thank you. Thank you for making domestic violence a priority, not only for us, but for the citizens and their families of this great city.
Thank you, Misty. And Misty, I don't mind you explaining more about why strangulation is such a threat. Can you talk a little bit about that? There could be someone who is watching that you may be able to help and explain why strangulation is such an important factor on the severity of where the domestic violence could lead to.
So if a person is being strangled, what that message is saying to that person, I can kill you. I can kill you with my bare hands. It cuts off your airways. It stops you from being able to breathe. What individuals don't understand, there's a difference between choking and strangulation. There are side effects that you can have that you don't even know that you have, like you become subject to having a stroke. You're subject to losing memory. You're subject to having so many health issues as it relates to just being strangled at one time. And what we need to know is that everybody is looking for signs of strangulation, like, oh, I put my hand around you. You should see some symptoms. You might not see that from looking at a person. The person would need to get some medical attention, a forensic interview, being seen by a professional, see what has actually happened from the cause of having that much pressure applied to your neck. It doesn't take, and I have our professionals here, but I'm gonna turn around and ask my professional, how many seconds does it take? Can somebody say it for me from the whole clinic? How many? 5. 9 seconds. And I just challenged them just now.
Yeah.
9 seconds. And you can kill someone.
And Jocelyn, just on the stats, I mean, I know that there are two main things that add to the potential lethality increase for a victim of domestic violence. I know one is obviously having a firearm in the household, and the other, from what I understand, is if there is a history of strangulation.
That's right. If there's a history of strangulation, so if someone has been strangled, they have roughly an 8 times higher risk of later being killed. And unfortunately, we do see this in our fatality review. Many of our fatalities here in the city have some kind of strangulation history. And also repeated law enforcement intervention, often related to those strangulations. So anytime that, we are reaching out to a survivor after an incident and there's been any kind of strangulation, there's any kind of firearm in the home, that's when we're really going to encourage them to take some safety precautions. And really, for anyone who's experienced strangulation or choking, the main message here is to go get a forensic exam, get checked out at the hospital or at the Hope Clinic, because like Misty said, there can be sort of long-term health impacts, and we really want to make sure that people get care, and they might not realize how serious it is.
These are critical warning signs. I do have council members who'd like to make comments. Councilmember Green and then Councilmember Thomas.
I do thank everyone who is here for the work that you do, such very important work. And during this Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it's important to recognize that one component of it is to recognize the thousands of people who have lost their lives due to domestic violence. Even in New Orleans, just recently, we experienced a couple of murder-suicides. And I bet if you look at the past, what was going on, there were signs that was going to happen. So, but it's obvious. I just want to say thank you for the work that you do. Last week, the Break the Cycle revival that took place, that was supported by so many organizations, was well attended. And I've seen growth in the number of and the scope of people who are working to support survivors of crime. I'm a founder of an organization that is Voices of the Victims of Crime, and we hear so many concerns mentioned by people who have been subjected to violence, domestic violence. So I do want to take an opportunity. I don't see any blue-shirted, uniformed officers of the law, but where are they? Where? Where? Look, somebody from NOPD, stand for a second.
Purple shirts.
With purple shirts, stand for a second.
Come on, don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I also see some of our NOPD social workers back there.
Right.
And they're being shy.
I want to mention that because and you talk to officers, the worst call that you can get as an officer is a response to domestic violence. That is the crime that has resulted in more officers being injured, if you will, than other crimes. But you mentioned 30 a day. That means that 30 times a day, members of the New Orleans Police Department, along with the support that you all provide, are responding to scenes where there's danger just by showing up to offer assistance. So I think that I always want to make sure that we incorporate and recognize the NOPD for those responses that take place each day in our city. And as challenging as it is, there are people whose lives have been lost. Yes, that is a tremendous challenge. I've been to too many balloon launches, which were in the past, too many balloon launches. I've been to, right. At the end of the day, things have changed, and now people are doing candles, and it's because of the work of the city council. It's very complex. But I mean, at the end of the day, too many of those have taken place. But I want to end on a positive note and say that when I see rallies such as the rally that took place, the march through the 5th District in support of remembrance of the victims of homicide, the everyday work that we do with our police department, the work that you all do on a daily basis, I see glimmers of hope because of the amount of increase that I've seen in advocacy. And I thank you all for your advocacy and for your work, the Family Justice Center and all the organizations. I could list them. Sometimes they go under the radar. Silence is violence. The New Orleans Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, as I mentioned, Voices of the Victims of Crime, and so many other organizations. Thank you all for the work that you do. It makes a difference, and I look forward, as you do, to 1 year we're able to recognize that we were able to end the scourge of domestic violence and that we help save lives in doing so. So with all of those words, I say 2 very important words to everyone there. Thank you for the work that you do.
Councilmember Thomas.
I want to thank all of the leaders in this area. It's good for us to keep having conversations about this, but there needs to be an increased effort. If we can't stamp this out, to literally reduce the roller coaster ride that we're on for the last several decades with domestic violence, especially because some of us, it affects personally. Within our families, it's not a political experience or a public policy opportunity. We've seen it happen in our own homes and amongst our own family members. As legislators, all of us have proud moments, legislation, stuff you introduced. One of the things that I'm most proud of is my work with Gil Glapion, with the YWCA, Julie Schwab Harris, in chairing one of the first efforts a couple of decades ago, not now, but a few decades ago, when I was the author of the city's first domestic violence law. And the reason for that was that the stories where some communities maybe are divorced from it, you don't hear about it, there may be therapy, folk may have access to opportunity, but in some of our communities it's a daily occurrence because we're considered disposable, don't have access to mental health, or the level of police protection. Back then the police would show up to the scene and ask him if she was okay. And he would say yes, and they would leave, and of course we knew what would happen after that. But I also want to touch on the other side of it, which is one of the reasons why I was so proud, yes, this male politician to be the author of the first domestic violence law was because of what Councilmember Green said, the late Haywood Hewitt, family members, friends that I have on the police department, who would show up at a scene for domestic violence. And when one of the perpetrator would say, hey, would you let me, you think the dispute is settled, could you let me go to the room and get more clothes to put on? and then he came back and he shot Haywood 4 or 5 times. He was their childhood friend. We all know he died from the complications of taking several bullets, but as a police officer, thank you, Eugene, for saying that, but I don't think we understand just how many times when the dispute has been settled, men and women from law enforcement have ultimately paid the price because they thought they were doing the humane thing. And so Haywood lost his life eventually for complications of taking those bullet wounds, or Nicholas Harris, who is more like a nephew to me and my family. He was raised with my nieces and nephews, and our household is best friends. That when he was shot between the eyes after he thought a dispute had been settled, and no one was charged with that. So for some of us, this is personal, but also one of the things that I enjoyed, I was a speaker for 8 graduations and commencements this year, but I was never more proud than when Ms. Henry asked me to be the speaker at the banquet when the women were being honored for being survivors of domestic violence. So to think that this mere man had enough history and enough care and enough knowledge of what happens here, that to do that, I will always appreciate you thinking enough of me to be able to offer that speech and honor those women. We keep coming here about domestic violence, but we keep having stories and increases. 2 of the last major events in my district were for domestic violence. So though I love us convening here with the month or the year or the week, at some point there has to be the next level effort so that our family members and our friends and men and women in law enforcement are not losing their lives and that domestic violence is a thing of the past. I honor all of you guys so much because no one understands the level of trauma that you deal with just when you sit down with someone and hear their story. So thank you guys, and God bless y'all for that.
Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Thank you, Councilmember Moreno, for bringing this resolution. I do think with all of the struggles people face, not just with domestic violence, but with providing services to those domestic violence, it is important to celebrate the people that are providing the services. Because the reality is that just like mental health is an epidemic that is never really solved, as long as there are people in this community who are hurting, people who are hurt other people. That's just the reality of it. And the effort you guys do every day to try and help people navigate that hurt and heal from that hurt and move past that hurt needs to be celebrated. I know that in the course of my time in the legislature, myself and the council vice president passed a lot of bills to improve things, but I'll tell you, and Charmaine, you'll appreciate this, I got a call last week from a woman who was trying to get her protective order enforced at an OPD station. And what was very troubling to me was that she had a valid protective order, but because it was not inputted in the registry correctly, there were officers that would not enforce it. And what was frustrating is that the registry was created to make it easier to track it, but to see people in law enforcement look at a valid protective order and use the lack of it being in the registry as an excuse not to enforce it was very troubling to me, because it defeated the purpose of having a registry. If a woman, if a man, if a child has that order, the first thing law enforcement should always do is say, error on behalf of the people seeking safety, not try to find a way to not have to deal with it. And despite all the laws we passed over time to try and make things easier for people to seek protection, the fact that I saw that just last week meant that our work is not done. Because part of it is educating law enforcement that as we add additional layers of protection, they should never be used as an excuse not to protect, because what that was is some clerk somewhere didn't press the send button or didn't do the right action. And that was never meant to be an additional obstacle towards protection. So I appreciate having this opportunity to celebrate all of you, because part of what I navigate in that one moment, which I'll navigate every day, because many of the people you service, when they're seeking that protection, you're the one advocating on their behalf. And it is so important for us to take a moment and lift you up, because just like those law enforcement officers out there who see it every day, this takes a horrific mental toll on yourselves. I mean, there's kind of a saying, I know for the lawyers up here, divorce lawyers are the most divorced lawyers in the history of the profession. It is so important to lift you guys up, because you see people really at their lowest. And it affects your life, it affects your mental health, and God, it absolutely affects your own relationships. Because as you're seeing people dealing with this, it takes a yeoman's task and a lot of fortitude to not become jaded yourself. And we sincerely, as a council, appreciate the fact you guys get up every day to do the right thing and make sure people are getting the services and protections to which they're entitled, because despite all our best efforts, that is a battle you have to wage every single day, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Morrell. And I'll just add one point to this too, and that is, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's sexual harassment even, I just want to thank everyone who is in this space for believing women. That part is really critically important, because so often it's spun around that it's, oh, you know, this is a situation where a victim is just trying to use this against their partner, when that's not really the case. That's just being utilized as some kind of excuse. So I just want to thank everyone who's in this space, particularly for believing women. And so with that, I do have some public comment. Don Bradley Fletcher. Don, you also have some other people mentioned here. You've got Camilla Hill and L'Oreal Ransom. Did they want to speak as well? Okay, if they do, no problem. I just need y'all to fill out a card as well.
Oh, we did it all in one, is that?
Yeah, not all in one. I need individual cards. I'm going to let them all speak. Don't worry about it. But just fill out cards as well. Don, come on up. And Dawn, thank you so much for all the work that you do at the Women's Shelter. You're so necessary and needed, and I know we worked on a case very closely together, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, thank you. And I just want to start off by saying I have to thank the Family Justice Center, because we lean on them so much for support. My first day at the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter was back in 2007. And believe me, my journey dealing with domestic violence started then, and I have been depending on you all for years. So thank you, especially you, Misty. But good morning, council members. I am Dawn Bradley Fletcher. I'm the CEO of the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter. I just want to thank you all for recognizing the month as domestic violence. This is a time when we need to unite to make sure that no one lives in fear. At our shelter, we serve women, we serve children, we serve families. We not only serve people who have lost their homes, but a sense of safety. When families come to us, they are not only seeking a bed, they are looking for peace, healing, and a new beginning. This resolution reminds us that awareness is not just about recognition, it's about a responsibility. I have to skip over L'Oreal's part.
Thank you.
So I just want to say, as we observe Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we commit to being a city of refuge and resilience. At the New Orleans Women and Children Shelter, we will continue to walk beside our survivors from crisis to confidence until every family can say we are safe, we are home. Thank you for recognizing this vital cause and for standing with the families we serve every day. And finally, I want to leave you with this. Together we can make New Orleans a city where no woman, no child, and no family have to ever choose between safety and survival. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Dawn.
allowing us to be here.
Thank you. Did y'all want to say anything, Ms. Ransom or Ms. Hill?
They do.
Okay. And just fill out a card when you're done.
We will.
Okay, thank you.
Just to piggyback off of what Ms. Fletcher was saying, we wanted to reiterate that every story that we see reminds us more that shelter is not all it takes to help a surviving family. It takes a community. So at New Orleans Women and Children Shelter, we do provide that safe housing, that trauma-informed case management, and the counseling that provides the pathways to employment obstacles and stability. Through the partnerships of healthcare providers, the community organization, the school system, it creates pathways for employment opportunities and to allow the families to gain their confidence of representing themselves back into society. Together, we create the pathways that turn survival into stability and stability into strength. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Camilla. So domestic violence thrives in silence, and awareness like this resolution helps break that silence. It tells survivors, we see you, we believe you, and help is here. When the city of New Orleans takes this stand, it declares that safety and dignity are basic human rights. Every time we open our doors to a mother fleeing violence, every time we comfort a child who has witnessed it, we are rewriting the story that once ended in fear.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Thank you for all that you do. Up next, we have Andre Godin with the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office. Good morning.
Good morning, Council. My name is Andre Godin, Jr. I'm the Chief of Screening for the Orleans Parish DA's Office, and I appear on behalf of DA Williams, along with my colleagues, Deputy Chief of Screening Autumn Harrell, District Screeners Evelyn Adams and Lisa Parker, and Victim Witness Advocate Liz Heron. I stand here as someone who spent over 15 years prosecuting crime in New Orleans, and I've seen, unfortunately, firsthand the aftermath of domestic violence and its tremendous grip on our communities. Now, we've made amazing reductions recently in our battle against violent crime, but I want to be clear, if we want to keep making substantial gains in all violent crime, we must confront domestic violence head on.
Great.
This isn't just another issue, it is the root of so much of the violence we see. I've seen the faces of victims and the young lives shaped by what they witnessed in their homes. I prosecuted murderers who grew up in homes where conflict resolution came at the point of a fist. And it was of little surprise that when they were taught that lesson, when the seeds were sown in our kitchens and our bedrooms and our living rooms of violence, that when they sprouted, they were violent themselves. It is so important that we unite. Law enforcement, the amazing leadership from public health, the heroic efforts of our service providers, our community, and our leadership. Because only together can we break this cycle. We must come together in this struggle, or these victims will all suffer alone. We owe it to the next generation to show that violence is not the answer. Please let us act with the resolve this moment demands. Thank you.
Thank you. Charmaine Cassiope, you're up next, if you want 2 minutes.
Well, I certainly would reiterate everything that we've heard today, but I want to go on the record as saying I could not be more honored than to testify before you today that I have celebrated 20 years working for the United Way of Southeast Louisiana. I'm thrilled to say that throughout its 100-year history, they have been some of the largest not-for-profit funders across the entire state. But clearly, our United Way in Southeast Louisiana is one of the largest funders of domestic violence programs throughout our 7-parish region and right here in New Orleans. I'm honored to serve on the board of the Family Justice Center, and I am delighted to oversee the grants and services that we provide to ensure that we continue to meet the growing demand for housing, safe housing, for our clinics, for the ability to respond in real time. And Councilmember Morell, I want you to know that I'm delighted to have just been interviewed by the Louisiana Supreme Court Because yes, we do understand the challenges in issuances of protective orders and the vulnerabilities that it provides when they are not processed properly. And we do have and are evaluating the necessary technological advancements to hopefully improve that system. But I want to go on record today to say thank you. Across Louisiana and across this country, I don't know that we have seen a more dedicated group of individuals than right here on this city council. For your unwavering commitment and your courage to continue to advance this. I am a survivor because a very dear friend of mine was brutally murdered by her estranged son-in-law. I know the devastation that that has caused. A family never really heals from that fully. Your courage and your commitment to give voice and to end the silence means we do have hope. And Councilwoman Moreno and JP, we started this journey in 2014, and we passed some historic legislation in the state legislature. Well, I want you to know when we were advocating then, Louisiana was second only to Alaska in the number of domestic violence fatalities. I want you to know today we're fifth. So while it seems like the progress is daunting, we are making a difference. And the more we advocate at all levels of government for the security of funding that we know can meet what the statistics are telling us, we have to save these families, these children, and we have to do so because it's about building a strong and healthy community. So I say, God bless you all for your commitment and the privilege to have the honor to work with you each and every day. God bless you.
Thank you, Charmaine. Laura Tuggle?
Okay, I'm sitting down here at this
Hey,
table
Laura.
too. Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Tuggle. Thank you for giving me this moment. I am a past survivor of domestic violence myself. I also have had a family member murdered as a result of domestic violence. I'm on the Family Justice Center board, and I am the director of Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. And we have, I think, 6 or either 7 staff that we now have located on site at the New Orleans Family Justice Center, so that we can co-locate services, reduce access barriers for victims, and really be integrated into the network of all the on-site partners that are really necessary to come together to try to help make a dent in this incredibly devastating problem that impacts generations. And I just want to thank the city and the health department for realizing this is about health, this is about safety, this is about stability, this is about how we protect our law enforcement partners. And it is hard every day for the staff to show up and keep doing this when it impacts them and their own mental health. And I just want to thank my team who's out there also behind me. They can wave. It is a big deal. And I know that as part of the AIR initiative that the city helps fund, we are just thankful for the council recognizing the importance of how legal services and lawyers fit as part of the solution. I think the last AIR report indicated that requesting legal help was the second most requested service of victims. So the need is immense, and we are just really grateful for the attention and support, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. And last public comment is Mally Frolick, and 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. My name is Mally Froelich. I'm here on behalf of the Newcomb Institute from Tulane University. Just wanted to share some data from a survey that was conducted in 2023 called the Louisiana Violence Experiences Survey. We also have data coming out of California and soon to be Texas as well, but this was led by Dr. Anita Raj, who is our executive director. So just some of the important data that came out of it. It was a sample size of 1,081 adults who responded to our survey. 52% of all Louisiana adults have experienced intimate partner violence, aka IPV, including 55% of women, 47% of men. This includes 1 in 16 Louisianans, which means that's about over 200,000 adults in the state. Of those who experienced IPV in the past year, only 18% filed an official complaint or report, according to our survey. 42% of women reported physical and sexual IPV compared to 29% of men. Women were 3 times more likely to report lethal forms of IPV, such as choking, suffocation, strangulation, and knife or gun violence from a partner. 22% of respondents witnessed IPV against their mother in childhood, and those who witnessed IPV in childhood were more likely to have experienced IPV in the past year, about 12%. Demographics that we found were sort of most affected were parents with children under the age of 18, members of the LGBTQIA+ community, and Louisianans with a disability. Individuals who experienced eviction or economic deprivation in the past year were 4 to 6 times more likely to report IPV. Individuals who experienced homelessness or incarceration in their lifetimes were 3 to 6 times more likely to experience IPV. And Louisianans who experienced IPV in the past year were more likely to report moderate to severe depression and or anxiety, suicidality, and then substance use in the past 30 days. Finally, 1 in 50 Louisianians who were the perpetrators of sexual or physical IPV in the past year, we found that they were 2 times more likely to own a gun. If you want more information, I have.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, with that, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution. It's been made, seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor? 7 yeas, no nays. Thank you all so much for your presentation and for all the work that you do.
Council members, we have Resolution R 25-523 by Council members Morrell, Moreno, Jeruso, Harris, King, Green, and Thomas. Resolution identifying the organization selected to receive funds under the Caesars Community Support Grant Program and the amount awarded to each, and there is an amendment. It says an amendment to add District A Councilmember Jeruso's Caesars Community Support Programs and Selections. On page 3, after at-large B, Helena Moreno, approved selections before District B, Leslie Harris, approved selections adding the following. And for Councilmember District A, Joe Jeruso, and the grant funds amount is $32,142.
I apologize for the delay, but I wanted to get this done right now, so I'll move on the amendment. May I have a second? Second by Councilmember Harris.
Elena, turn around and say yes. There you go.
5 yeas. Thank you.
Now you got to vote on it as amended.
Second by Councilman Caruso. All in favor? Elena, say yes again. All right, 5 yeas, no nays. There you go. 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
Council members, on page 30, we have Resolution R 25-529 by Council members Moreno, Morrell, Harris, King, Green, and Thomas. A resolution identifying the organization selected to receive funds under the City Council Cox Communication Louisiana Community Grant Program and the amount awarded to each, and there is an amendment by Councilmember Jeruso. An amendment to add District A, Councilmember Joseph Jeruso selection to the City Council Cox Communication Louisiana Community Grant Program Resolution, and the total grant fund is $20,000.
Thank you. I move for approval. Seconded by Councilmember Thomas.
Change.
7 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
All right, that amendment is adopted, and I'll move approval as amended as soon as the machine pops back up. There you go. Seconded by President Morrell. We need one more. Eugene? 7 yeas, no nays.
We're now going back to the regular order of the agenda. We're on page 10. We have the HDLC appeal of 500 State Street has been withdrawn. We have the legislative grouping and extension request of Nicole Nelson Rio LLC, requesting an extension of time for the Affordable Housing Plan Development Zoning Docket 7120, ordinance number 28,574 MCS pursuant to 4.3.H.I and 4.3.H.2 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance for property located at 256 Barone Street. We have motion M25-533 by Councilmember Harris, granting the applicant's request for an extension of time for property located at 2256 Barone Street until October 1st, 2026.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This motion would approve the extension request for a senior affordable housing project at 2256 Barone Street. This was approved last term and is simply being extended because the closing date for this property is shortly after the expiration of the Affordable Housing Plan development granted by CPC and the Council last term. This development will provide 22 units of affordable housing for seniors, and I've asked the developers to go above typical neighborhood engagement, which they did. Ms. Bell, I understand that you met with one of the developers this week. Because this has already been approved and closing is imminent, I am moving to allow the extension. I do have comment cards. Ms. Bell is first, followed by Stephen Kennedy.
My name is Jeanette Bell.
Can you pull the microphone closer, please? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My name is Jeanette Bell. I live on the 2200 block of Barone Street. And for those of you who don't live in this immediate neighborhood, I can tell you that my nightmare with Hano started when I purchased the property in 1984. It continues to today. When you consider, and I'm hoping that those of you who are homeowners can consider that when you are you're proposing to put 22 units plus 12 parking spaces on an area that is 20 feet wider and 18 feet deeper than your own house. You can tell, just based on common sense, that you are making a situation that does not fit the scale of this property. With my property being 65 by 128, and this property being 85, just 20 feet wider and 18 feet deeper, and you're talking about putting 22 units and 12 parking spaces on that. This is the first time that anyone from this block has had the opportunity to speak about this. And I have often heard that the people on our
Ms. Bell, that's your time. Each person gets 2 minutes to speak, Ms. Bell. Thank you. Stephen Kennedy? He supports the project. Nicole Nellam?
Hey, good morning. This is Nicole Nelson. Stephen Kennedy had to step out for an appointment, so I'm going to provide my comment in support of this project. My company is Stephen Kennedy's developer consultant on this project. As mentioned, my colleague Jonathan Light met earlier this week with Ms. Bell to speak about the development, the concern about this project having not had the opportunity to have neighborhood participation is not true because this project went, and was approved for an affordable housing plan development. It went through the MPP process. That's all recorded. The permit was filed in 2022, which is also public record. And the developer is doing everything in their power to close within the next quarter in a, time-sensitive manner. So this is all in motion, and it's just requesting an extension for an additional year. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any online comments?
No, not on this item.
Okay, I'll move to adopt. Seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor? 7 yeas. Thank you.
The IZD appeal of 8504 Oak Street has been withdrawn at the applicant's request. We have the IZD appeal of 2608 Republic Street has been deferred to October 23rd. The IZD appeal of 734 Union Street, Unit 400, has been deferred to October 23rd. On top of page 12, the IZD appeal of 1038 Elysian Fields Avenue has been deferred to 1023. We have a legislative grouping IZD appeal of Ron Losell, Zach Smith Consulting and Design, requesting to appeal the commercial short-term rental interim zoning pursuant to CZO 19.4.8.20.d for the property located at 4862 Chapatula Street. We have motion M25-531 by Councilmember Harris, denying the applicant's request for the property located at 4862 Chapatula Street. Motion M25-532 has been withdrawn.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm moving forward with the motion to deny this appeal request. While there were issues with the permitting office, we found that this STR operated without a license since their permit lapsed. Additionally, we have a transient lodging study coming from CPC to make recommendations to overhaul our commercial STR regulations. Since those new regulations are quickly approaching, I do not think it's appropriate to make one-off decisions about STRs that are appealing this CSTR IZD because Airbnb's platform verification removed them from the website. Is there any public comment? I don't have a card.
Oh, you have cards, 3 of them.
Ron Lazel.
Ron Lazo, 1000 South Norman C. Francis. Thank you, Councilmember Harris. And I really hope you reconsider after hearing everything from today. We're humbly asking you to approve the client's request for the CSTR through this appeals process. Amira is a single mom who has gone through hell the past 2 years. She went through a very, very difficult child custody case that cost tens of thousands of dollars so that she could have her daughter with her when she went on a year-long fellowship in Canada. This house is what is supporting her and her daughter while she continues with her medical license as a cardiologist, pediatrician cardiologist. She worked at Children's for 8 years in the critical care unit for children. She bought this house to support her. Right now she has no income. She's doing some fill-ins here and there, but her next assignment's not going to come until next year. All of her bills for this house cost $4,800 a month. She even talked to her realtor when this all came up about selling the property, which she was given a market analysis from her real estate agent that the housing market, as we all know, is so bad right now, it would be a detrimental loss. Everything is not black and white. Your job is to look at each case and find merits of appeals. If she could have renewed in 2023, she would have, and you're going to hear from her. She was stuck in a time where there were lawsuits and uncertainty. Then life happened. Separation, custody, fellowship. Please don't take away her chance to support herself and her daughter. This house is in the middle of businesses. All around it, there's a storage unit on one side that goes around the back side of it, as well as there's a nail salon next to it. It's right on Tchoupitoulas in a very busy area. Please listen to her words. And I also want to say, I understand with this report coming out, but we don't know what that report's going to say, and this may be her only chance. So thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Jacobs, followed by Amira Suleiman.
My name is Jordan Jacobs, 1937 North Rampart Street. So I'm a short-term rental operator. I've been operating short-term rentals in the city since 2016. Been following the laws as they've continued to evolve year after year. There's been many changes. I'm also a realtor. And in 2022, I had the opportunity to help Amira to find a property that was going to follow the short-term rental laws as they were written at that time. She was looking to purchase a property for investment. She was looking to do something to invest in the city of New Orleans, and she was looking to follow the rules and to do something to provide for her family as well. We looked only at commercial properties. At that time, there were many people who were getting away with illegally renting in residential areas, and I steered Amira towards commercial properties. We looked at one that was next to a car wash and ultimately settled on this property on Tchoupitoulas, surrounded by a self-storage facility. It's near F&M's bar, and it's near a nail salon directly next door. Amira did obtain an STR permit and an operator permit at that time, which followed all of the rules. When it came time to renew, she hired a consultant who gave her what I think was bad information, and no permit renewal was applied for, I think due to that bad information she was given, which is very unfortunate. She's now trying to correct the mistakes that she has made and the information she was given. She's trying to follow the rules and to reinstate this commercial short-term rental, which she already had previously. So thank you for considering this for her, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Amira. Suleiman?
Thank you so much. Hopefully everybody can see me. Thank you for your time. My name is Amira Solomon. I'm going to start by saying that I'm not an investor. I'm a doctor and a single mother. I apologize if I get emotional, but this is a very personal issue. 4862 Tchoupitoulas was a labor of love. I spent 2 years looking at properties before purchasing it, knowing I needed not only a good home and a safe location, but to fulfill all the criteria that would allow me to get a commercial short-term license. I spent 4 months and thousands of dollars to get the initial license. I tried to renew my license in September of 23 prior to expiration, but an IZD was in place then as well with months of backlog. I was quoted another $5,000 retainer by a local land use consultant, a price I simply could not afford at the time. At that time, I had accepted a fellowship position in Canada, and with the relocation, my ex-husband, who had no custody and did not support my daughter financially, decided to sue me to prevent me from taking my only daughter with me to Canada. This cost me tens of thousands of dollars and a lifetime of stress, followed by a year of fellowship training as a single mother, where I worked over 100 hours a week at minimum wage. With all of this going on, I dropped the ball, to put it honestly and simply. Getting and renewing and navigating this has been so complicated, I simply couldn't do it alone under these very stressful circumstances. I have over 100 five-star reviews on Airbnb, all of which mention, by the way, I am managing this myself, even remotely, even when I'm on transatlantic flights. All of them mention how beautiful and clean my house is, how wonderful and a communicator and a host I am, but every single review also mentions how busy and dangerous Tchoupitoulas Street is. My neighbors include, as mentioned, a storage facility, a nail salon, F&M's is across the street, and a fried chicken restaurant that is now up for sale and who knows what's going to be. My home is the prettiest, quietest, and most beautiful home on that block. If I don't use this as an STR, I would never be able to rent it as a single-family home given its location. It's frustrating and sad that the city would allow me to turn this into another.
Thank you. Any comments? Any online comments?
There was one, but it is actually for a different item,
Okay.
so there are none relevant.
All right, so I'll move to adopt. Seconded by Councilmember Jeruso. 6 yeas. Thank you.
We're now on top of page 13. We have a legislative group and zoning docket number 4625, RNS Auto Service, Inc., requesting a conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages in an HUMU Historic Urban Neighborhood Mixed-Use District on Square 458, Lot A in the 2nd Municipal District, bounded by Hagan Street, Moss Street, and Toulouse Street. Municipal address 501 through 519 Hagan Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 2 provisos. We have motion M25-525 by Councilmember Jeruso, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 4625, subject to 2 provisos.
Thank you. Sabine? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is a request for conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages in an HUMU district. The project is essentially a farmer's market-inspired small grocers, which will offer a small selection of wine, beer, and spirits for off-premises consumption. The issue here, while this is being heard, is that while grocery stores are permitted by right, at this location, a conditional use is required to allow the sale of packaged alcoholic beverages because the building is less than 20,000 square feet. We found that the proposal is consistent with all approval standards in the CZO, does not conflict with the master plan. There was no opposition at the CPC hearing, and the recommendation is for approval.
Thank you. Missy Quigley?
Good morning, council members. Missy Quigley with Sherman Strategies, 800 Barone Street. I want to thank the City Planning Commission staff and the commission, and also Councilmember Jeruso's office for coordinating with us on this. It's a really exciting project. It's going to have local farmers being able to bring their products to this place, and the owners of it will be selling the products for them, and then they will have a profit-sharing agreement. There's going to be local meat, seafood, produce, and we're really excited about this project. We've worked with the Lafitte Greenway and also the Farmers Market. They came to our MPP meeting. We had a really good neighborhood response, and we're really excited, and we hope for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, I'm going to make sure there's no online comments. Ashley, none?
There are none.
Thank you. This property served as an auto repair shop for years. It's an odd-shaped little triangle on Bayou St. John, making it ideal for a small neighborhood use. As Ms. Quigley said, the market will focus on local produce, meat, seafood, and products. As CPC said, the market is partnering with the Crescent City Farmers Market to sell those products. The only thing we've heard some concern about is parking, but given the nature of the business itself and how much turnover there's going to be, customers should be moving very quickly. So with that, I'm going to move for approval of M25-525 and grant the conditional use subject to 2 provisos. Seconded by Councilmember Moreno. 7 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
We have legislative grouping, zoning docket 4725, 530 Powder LLC, requesting a conditional use to permit a reception facility with outdoor live entertainment, secondary use in an HUMU Historic Urban Neighborhood Mixed-Use District on Square 86, lots 20 through 23 in the 5th Municipal District, bounded by Powder Street, Alik Street, Booney Street, Eliza Street, municipal address 530 Powder Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 3 provisos. We have motion M25-528 by Councilmember King, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 4725, subject to 3 provisos.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. CPC, the floor is yours.
Yes, this is a conditional use to permit a reception facility with an outdoor live entertainment as a secondary use in an HUMU district. That property is on Powder Street in Old Algiers. It's developed with a commercial building already. The applicant wishes to use it as a reception facility with some outdoor entertainment as well. That street marks the edge of a residential district. It is developed with a mix of residential and warehouse structures. So considering the limited size of the new indoor event space, which is about 500 square feet, the use standards imposed on reception facilities and outdoor live entertainment, and the fact that the site already operates as a reception facility on occasions, the proposed operation should not negatively affect surrounding development. Therefore, the Planning Commission recommended approval subject to 3 provisos. There was also no opposition at the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Lazo.
Ron Lazo, 1000 South Norman Street, Francis. Thank you, Councilmember King and your staff for working very hard on this. Also, City Planning Commission, as always, does a wonderful job. This request is for conditional use to permit a reception facility with outdoor live entertainment. This property has been working for about a year now, year and a half, with doing special events. It's a huge bonus for the neighborhoods. It supports local artists. And so we're very happy to support this project, and we ask your support as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bobby Palmer.
Good morning, council members. I just want to say thank you for considering this and providing your support. I think we've created here in this space a really special environment where everyone seems to come together. We have a green market that comes every other weekend and multiple other event spaces. We have a lot of people from the neighborhood who are willing to step up and support it as well. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Jack Cassidy.
Good morning, council members. My name is Jack Cassidy, and I'm a resident of Algiers Point and past president and current officer of the Algiers Point Men's Club. I'm here to voice my strong support for zoning docket number 5725. The owners of Barge Board, Kristen and Bobby Palmer, have already shown what kind of neighbors they are. They've opened their space to community and nonprofit groups, including ours, at no cost. They also host a farmers market that brings people together and supports local vendors. Beyond that, their business promotes architectural salvage, helping preserve the historic character of New Orleans while reducing waste and saving trees. They also feature work from local artists and artisans, keeping that creative energy right here in the community. Our club has about 50 members and is a community service organization focused on recurring projects like cleaning storm drains and remulching parks, and on working with other nonprofits to better the neighborhood. We've worked with NOLA Tree Project and Keep Algiers Beautiful to plant new flower beds around the Fallen Veterans Memorial in McDonough Park, and with Sol NOLA to expand the tree canopy between Newton and Opelousas. We don't take political stances, so we can remain inclusive of all viewpoints. However, speaking for myself, I believe granting Barge Board this conditional use will strengthen our sense of community and create more opportunities for fundraising, social engagement, and local partnerships that benefit the Point and the city as a whole. I also want to add that I completely trust Bobby and Kristen. They've proven themselves to be incredible stewards of Algiers Point, consistently generous with their time, space, and resources, and always focused on making the neighborhood better. I think allowing them the flexibility to host more events, host more events without having to get a special permit each time will only deepen that impact and continue bringing people together in meaningful ways. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Ms. Heather Sarpy.
Hello, my name is Heather Zapari. I am a resident of the Algiers neighborhood and am in full support of this conditional use. It's a very positive activity, and it supports our local culture and the arts and small businesses, constantly bringing all of us together. I just want to show my strong support. Everything everyone else has said, I also concur.
I apologize for the mispronunciation of your name. Doug Sanstead.
morning, and it's still morning, 10 more minutes. I'm just here to voice my support. As other folks have said, it is just an amazing, positive place when there's a community event there. And I retired from New York City to Algiers Point and had all my kids already grow up. And to be able to go down the block with so many young families, people bring their kids, and so the approval of this, it's the glue that holds the community together, these events, and we have a few other spaces like that in the neighborhood, but it's so important for the community, and we need to keep these young families in Algiers Point and in New Orleans, and allowing events to occur there will hopefully encourage these families to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Becky Hicks.
Hi, I'm Becky, and I run the Algiers Point Free Little Pantry. As everyone else has said, the community events there just bring the whole neighborhood together, and I've had probably half a dozen fundraisers there. They don't charge me to use the place, and I make a lot of profits from the sales and the stuff that goes on there. I also had my pet pig's birthday party there last month, and you can't believe how many people turned out for that. Thanks.
Thank you. Ray House.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ray House. I reside at 329 Wagner Street, so I'm closer to Federal City. I'm one of the artists that's supported by this location. I also have participated as a volunteer at the location for fundraisers, and I can say that I have seen so much community there. It is a space that's open to all and very family forward. It's kind of nice to have a space that is within the community that members can either drive to or walk to. I'm in full support as a resident, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Ariel DiGilio. (536) Belleville Street. Dylan Utley, also 536. He left as well. All right. Any online comments from the dais? All right, this application has received a recommendation of approval by both City Planning Commission and its staff. Our office has not received any letter in opposition, and there was no opposition voiced at the CPC hearing. The NPP was well attended, with 16 cards submitted in support of this request and no cards in opposition. With this, I move adoption. Second by Councilmember Jeruso. All in favor, vote your machine. Well, all vote your machines. 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
We're on top of page 14. We have a legislative grouping, zoning docket 4825, City Council motion, requesting an amendment to Article 7, Section 7.2, Table 7-1 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to permit both established single-family dwellings and home-based child care centers in GPD, the General Plan Development District, to support the operational needs of existing residents and enhance access to essential child care services in the community. The proposed text amendment would affect regulations that are applied to the singular zoning district General Plan Development District, which is located only in the lower coast of Algiers and New Orleans East. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval. We have motion M25-527 by Council Members King and Thomas, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 4825.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. City Planning Commission at the floor.
Yes, so currently the zoning ordinance classifies single-family residences as conditional uses in the GPD district. This means that existing residences are non-conforming use and can only be expanded through the conditional use process. Since a home-based childcare center is an expansion of a residence, this requires a conditional use as well for an existing residence to add a home-based childcare component. The conditional use process is an onerous process that is best reserved for unusually intense uses that may not be appropriate in the underlying zoning district. This is not the case for existing residential uses. To be considered, it's not the case for single-family residences, nor is it the case for home-based childcare. We think that it is more appropriate to allow existing single-family residential uses to be considered conforming uses so that they can expand by right, not through the conditional use process. Same for home-based childcare. So for these reasons, the Planning Commission is recommending approval of the proposed amendment. Please note that to be consistent with the way the terminology is already used in the zoning ordinance, the CPC staff suggested that this amendment be modified to allow existing single-family residents as opposed to established single-family residences as well as home-based childcare.
Thank you. Nick Kendall?
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Nick Kendall. I'm the Director of Facility Expansion for Agenda for Children. So thank you, City Council, Councilmember King, your staff, and the staff of CPC for taking on this issue. This text amendment is fairly limited in that it applies to one zoning district, which is located just in District C and E. And what it would do would make existing single-family dwellings be able to expand, as well as to have the in-home family childcares not require a conditional use. So it's a fairly limited text amendment, but it is important for some ECE providers, such as Ms. Tracy Thompson. So she'll be able to add on to her house to add a dedicated classroom space for her small family childcare that serves 6 children. So this is a fairly technical amendment in a kind of unique zoning district, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Claire Thomas?
Hello, council members. My name is Claire Thomas, and I manage the Early Childhood Education Facilities Program at the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority, and I'm here to speak in favor of the text amendment. So one of the stated goals of the program that I manage is to enhance the quality of family child care centers by maintaining or improving those provider sites. Family child care centers are an essential part of our early childhood education ecosystem here in New Orleans. These centers are providers that provide services to up to 6 children within their residences. I'm here specifically because Nora would like to provide funding for Mrs. Thompson's project, which would be to expand her home to add a dedicated classroom space to the back of her residence. So this would provide a specialized learning space for 6 children in that Lower Coast Algiers neighborhood. We think this would be a fantastic project for us to support through our Early Childhood Education Facilities Grant Program, so thank you so much for considering it.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Tracy Thompson?
Good morning, council members and all that's in attendance. First, I want to just thank you all for allowing me to stand here before you on today. My name is Tracy Thompson. I reside at 3619 Paul Street in Algiers. I'm a certified child care provider. My vision as I come before you on today is that I would like to add on to my existing home to create a small home-based classroom. Early child care learning is an essential part to our children's social, emotional, and physical development. I also love what I do. So I'm here on today prayerful that the text amendment in our area will be approved so I can serve the families in the community. This will also allow parents to have a choice for their child or children to have a more hands-on learning experience in a small setting. This change will be great to the community, and it also will allow me to serve in my purpose as a child care provider. Thank you for your time on today.
Thank you. Any online comments, Councilman Diaz? Councilman Thomas?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. I want to thank our staff as co-author of this.
We also added New Orleans East to it. The gentleman from Agenda for Children said it's just a mere text amendment, but it's really more than that. If you look at the City Seats program and the fact that there are 1,300 kids who are still on the waiting list, and if you look at the numbers, there are potentially another 4,500 kids that are not on the list but could use access to universal child care. This answers a question. I specifically remember being at your forum when one of the questions was, how do we begin to expand opportunity? We listened. This is a way how you expand opportunity. It's not always more money, but this gives us a policy opportunity. And thank you, Councilmember King, for partnering with this. But this is an answer to that question that's been asked in many debates and forums. How do we create more opportunity? So I think too often the legislative branch doesn't realize it has power through text amendments, zoning, permitting, and the like, that maybe you can't find a pot of gold, but you can find ways to answer those questions about access to universal health care. And I know that specifically Lower Coast Algiers and New Orleans East will benefit from this without encroachment on historic neighborhoods, and by lessening the burden and giving opportunity to people like Ms. Thomas, correct? Thomas to Thomas, right? Based on all of those questions that were answered, and I know I enjoyed the early childhood debate or forum that I participated in, but this was a response to the questions that were asked at that in terms of how do we make more opportunity available and expand city seats. Thank you, Councilmember King.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. Any online comments?
No, not for this item.
Okay. In the GPD General Plan Development District, almost all new developments require conditional use or plan development approval by the City Council. This text amendment will not make any changes for new developments. Instead, the text amendment will make existing single-family dwellings a permitted use. This change will eliminate the conditional use requirement for an existing single-family home to expand and would make home-based child care centers a permitted use. Our office requested CPC consideration of this proposal in response to a Lower Coast constituent who operates a small child care center in her home and who was looking to add a classroom. With this, I move adoption. Second by Councilmember Thomas. We have 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you.
We have a legislative grouping. All matters. Ordinance calendar number 34,385 has been deferred to October 23rd. On top of page 15, motion line over M23 426 has been deferred to October 23rd. Motion line over M23 427 has been deferred to October 23rd. Legislative grouping, ordinance calendar number 35,093 by council members Thomas, Jeruso, Green, King, and Harris by request. An ordinance to ordain chapter 82, article 25, section 82-718, 82-723 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to restrict the sale of flavored alternative nicotine products, specifically vapes and pouches, to tobacco-specific businesses and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Yeah, this is,
Okay, I'm
that's
sorry.
deferred? Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was deferred, as well as B on top of page 18 has been deferred to 10/23. We have ordinance calendar number 35-103 has been deferred to October 23rd. We have ordinance calendar number 35-117 has been deferred to October 23rd. On top of page 17, ordinance calendar number 35,127 has been deferred to October 23rd. Ordinance calendar number 35,133 has been deferred to October 23rd. We have at the bottom of the page, ordinance calendar number 35,229 by Councilmember Thomas, an ordinance to ordain and establish section 90-44 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to regulate and prohibit the disclosure of crime scene and accident scene photographs and video footage and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and there is an amendment by Councilmember Thomas. The amendment's description, an amendment to clarify the scope of disclosure prohibited by the ordinance and to address circumstances when disclosure is permitted. The amendment. On line 9, insert subsection signifier A at the beginning of the line. Number 2, on line 10, delete the words crime scene or accident scene except as permitted by this section and replace them with the following: crime or accident victim in cases involving death or serious bodily injury, unless the image or footage of the victim is obscured or redacted or disclosure is expressly authorized by this section. Number 3, delete the entire sentence beginning at the end of line 10 and replace it with the following: B, the city may disclose unredacted images or footage of crime or accident victims, 1, to other law enforcement agencies, 2, under circumstances reasonably related to the investigation of the crime or the apprehension of the perpetrator, 3, for internal law enforcement training purposes, 4, at the request of the victim or if the victim is deceased, the victim's family, 5, in connection with a court proceeding, or 6, as required by the public records laws or applicable law. That is the amendment.
Madam Clerk, thank you. This ordinance will require the city to obscure or redact victims of crime or accidents involving death or serious bodily injury when disclosing photographs or video footage of a crime scene. NOPD requested amendments to this ordinance as introduced to assist them with their internal needs and victim requests. My legislative director, in conjunction with the Executive Council, the Law Department, and our own council's Executive Council, addresses NOPD's request via the amendments that were just read. This ordinance, as amended, will protect the dignity and autonomy of victims and their families. So with that, I would move adoption of the amendment.
Councilmember Thomas, thank you for bringing this.
Councilmember Giarrusso.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this. Phelps represents A&E. So as a result of that, I'll be recusing myself from this matter. Thank you.
And, there's a motion by me and a second by Councilmember Green on the amendment. We have a speaker, Mr. Burnside.
A couple of very small things. Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. So I read the agenda, and I'm kind of a lazy man, so I read the agenda on the morning of the event. And when I get curious, I go in and ask for a printout. And so I would like to touch on something I've touched on before, which is sometimes the agenda brief does not contain sufficient information to make a reasonable and rational choice to speak or not speak. So this particular legislative instrument is about the city. It's about people acting on behalf of the city, and is specifically about police department of the city. There's nothing in here that restricts newspaper reporters. There's nothing in here that restricts family members. There's nothing in here that restricts other people from taking photographs and disseminating and disclosing crime scene and accident scene photos. And I think that's important because we're entering a time where definitions are made up by people. So what is a crime scene, what is an accident scene, are no longer assumable truths. And I see encroachment on various First Amendment rights when it comes to free speech and other types of things, particularly at the national level, but also at the local level. So it would be good to reemphasize that this is a restriction on police and people employed by the city and not necessarily a restriction on others. Thank you.
Thank you. Dealing with our constitutional charter authority, you're absolutely correct. We've been moved and seconded on the amendment. Vote your machines. Councilmember King. Okay. Yeah, four yeas and one recusal? 4 yeas and one recusal, thank you. The amendment is approved. On the ordinance as amended? Madam Clerk. Move approval on the ordinance as amended. Second by Councilmember Green. Vote your machines. Four yeas and one recusal. And the ordinance as amended is adopted. Thank you, guys. Madam Clerk, next item.
On top of page 18, ordinance calendar number 35-237 has been deferred to October 23rd. Ordinance calendar number 35,238 by Councilmember Green by request. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of New Orleans and the New Orleans Workforce Development Board with a term greater than 1 year for the public purpose of developing a quality workforce serving as focal point for all local and regional workforce development initiative and facilitate the development of a seamless one-stop workforce delivery system consistent with the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act as more fully detailed in the governmental agreement Exhibit A and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
This ordinance authorizes the City of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the New Orleans Workforce Development Board. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act requires each local area to establish an agreement between the chief elected official and the local Workforce Development Board to outline the duties of the board. Local workforce development boards are required to be certified every 2 years, and this is an agreement. This agreement is part of that certification, and it will therefore align for the certification period of 2 years. If there are no questions and there are no cards or no online comments, I move. Councilmember Harris seconds. Members, please vote your machine. We need one other person to vote. Oh, wait. I don't know what I said. We need one more vote. All right. 5 yeas, the measure passes. Thank you.
At the bottom of the page, we have ordinance calendar number 35-239 by Councilmember Harris by request. An ordinance to amend and reordain section 26-150, 26-160, and 66-312 of the Code of the City of New Orleans relative to the definition of cover crops to provide an exemption for covered crops relative to minimum property maintenance requirements and environmental nuisance and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This ordinance amends the city code to expand what's exempt from the 10-inch maximum weed height requirement to include cover crops. Cover crops are cultivated plants temporarily planted to provide a variety of benefits: slow erosion, improve soil health, enhance water availability, smother weeds, help control pests and diseases, and to increase biodiversity. Farmers and gardeners of New Orleans who are responsibly practicing regenerative agricultural practices, such as cover cropping, are getting cited and fined because these plants are being misinterpreted as weeds. This code change is intended to reduce unnecessary and inaccurate code violations, which will save time and resources for both city staff and growers. There is a member of the administration available if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, we can get a public comment. The first person is Calvin A. Lopez.
Good afternoon. My name is Calvin Lopez. I reside in East New Orleans, 7450 Mayo. I support this ZO change. It will lead to better standard communications between city offices, the public, and ultimately may find its way into land use determinations. Code enforcement and permitting will likely be the first to be impacted by this change. Many vacant lots can be put to productive use rather than sit fallow and go to seed with weeds. Pardon the pun. Ideally, these lots will be cultivated as a home vegetable garden for the lot next door owner or community garden, but there are other potential uses. Establishing this definition in itself is not the end. It will enable better communications in official documents and between department and the public. Small changes such as this have a way of becoming larger in scope. Over time, it will find its way into land use dockets as either conditional or permitted uses. Those changes must evolve slowly and carefully. I look forward to clarifying this land use in future dockets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Catherine Prevost. Catherine Prevost? Oh.
You said fabulous.
Good afternoon, Council. And the reason why I do not support it is because they need to have more education on crop covers. Crop covers are more like, it's still overgrown. And you got to remember, we fight the blight. Now we're going to put more overgrown grass in areas where we're going to be fighting the rodents, because that's what's going to happen. We're going to be fighting the rodents. We're going to be calling city council to help somebody get this from around our homes. This is a city. We're not rural. We're not. We're a city. And I'm hoping that you understand that maintenance is very important. If they want to cover their crops, take and cover their crops with whatever is necessary for maintenance. You know, we have to do maintenance on these things. We keep our grass cut. When we get cited, we have to pay it, so we know to pay attention and to keep it done. Maintenance is important. They need to till. If they need to till, they want to be farmers in here for economic reasons. They're making money. They make enough money now for maintenance. Do that. Cover your crops. Don't make it where we have to suffer the consequences of ryegrass, because that's what they're going to use, ryegrass. Ryegrass is for rodents. That's where rodents live. They eat the seeds. They eat everything off the ryegrass. So now, next to our houses, you're going to see rodents traveling underneath our houses, getting into our houses for more food to eat. So I'm asking that you don't approve this and maybe start looking at other ways where we can do maintenance for this. Inside my garden, I take and we maintenance them. We keep the grass cut. We make sure that it's nothing in the way of anything, and it makes it look nice.
Thank you. Devin Wright, followed by Dimitri Coles.
Good afternoon. My name is Devin Wright. I'm speaking on behalf of Sprout. We're a New Orleans-based food system nonprofit whose mission is to support the development of a food system that works for the people that live here. Our work as an organization is part of a long lineage of grassroots organizing efforts focused on making food production that has always happened here, not just allowed, but encouraged in this city. Many people in this room participated in this work through the A Greener New Orleans campaign, which ended last year. I'm so excited to be here with all of you as we celebrate the continuation of this work that we made significant strides in during that time. Thank you all for your work. I also wanted to say thank you specifically to Grace Treffinger as the city's urban ag liaison within ORS for taking seriously the community origins of her role and for following through on the mandates of that role and thinking through a lot of the concerns that have come up in establishing urban agricultural practices and legislation that work for everyone. Thank you, Councilmember Harris, for using your time to move forward a legislative solution to an issue that growers have faced in the city for decades. Cover cropping, like you mentioned, is an essential practice of regenerative agriculture, and it's backed by substantial research conferring myriad environmental benefits wherever it's practiced, from carbon sequestration to stormwater management, which we so desperately need here in the city. As a New Orleans farmer myself, I'm heartened to see this change happening and to be supported by you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Dimitri Coles, followed by Samantha Flerner.
Good afternoon. My name is Dimitri Sellis. My address is 2846 Grand Route, St. John Street, 70119. I'm here on behalf of Recirculating Farms. As their program director, we're a nonprofit that steward 3 urban farming spaces in Central City, soon to be 4. Councilmember Harris, about 2 years ago, you visited our farm on Jackson so you can learn about the ways that we're promoting food sovereignty and environmental sustainability using regenerative agriculture and specifically cover cropping. Cover cropping has been a cost-effective way for us to build healthy organic soil without using harmful chemicals. Healthy soil means that our growing spaces are able to absorb and retain more stormwater, and also means that we have healthier, more productive crops. So far this year in 2025, in a little under 1,100 square feet, we've been able to grow, harvest, and distribute to the community around over 1,700 pounds of produce. And we're a small team, there's only 3 of us. So I support this ordinance because more cover cropping means more stormwater absorption, less flooding, and more food for our city. Thank you, Councilmember Harris, for keeping your word and co-sponsoring this bill. A big thanks to Grace and Greg and the whole team at the Office of Resilience and Sustainability. They've been really helpful through this entire process and more. And I also look forward to having more conversations with y'all after the election about how we can uplift urban ag in New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you, and I can't believe it's been 2 years already. Samantha, followed by Asha.
Hello, my name is Samantha Flournoy, speaking on behalf of the New Orleans Food Policy Action Council, which helps to shape public policy to improve equity, opportunity, and collaboration in our local food system. I'm here to support the cover crop ordinance. This amendment to the ordinance not only protects everyday growers, but also anyone who considers themselves a responsible land steward. This ordinance is a positive step forward in creating a city in which residents can engage in climate resilience without fear of inaccurate code violations. I'm hopeful with fewer barriers and growing awareness and education to the benefits of cover cropping, which include reduced erosion, fewer weeds, and improved water retention. The practice will grow alongside a stronger community of growers and producers in our city. And I'd like to also shout out Grace for all of her hard work around this, and thank you, Councilmember Harris, for bringing this forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Asha?
Hello, my name is Asha McIntyre, and I am an urban agriculture extension agent for the Southern University Research and Extension Center in Baton Rouge. I am here in support of this ordinance. Cover cropping, as previously mentioned, has many economic, ecological benefits. It's supported by the NRCS and USDA as a best management practice for sustainable agriculture, and I think that it is positive step forward.
Thank you. I know there are 6 online comments.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you want to go ahead and read them?
Sure, they're all in support. Jackie Bayham writes, Anna Timmerman from LSU Ag has been advising municipalities in Lake Charles and other cities in northern Louisiana on using cover crops for the levees to reduce the need for mowing. Imagine how much budget money can be saved and used on other line items. You can give her a call, she will not mind. There is a phone number included, which we'll include in the record. Here are a few reasons why cover crops are good for New Orleans urban farmers and gardeners, and ultimately for everyone. Number 1, improved soil health. Cover crops add organic matter, loosen compacted soil, and feed beneficial microbiomes. This helps rebuild the often poor or disturbed soils common in urban lots. 2, prevent erosion and runoff. New Orleans gets heavy rainfall, which can wash away topsoil. Cover crops help hold soil in place, reducing erosion and stormwater runoff, an important part of local green infrastructure. Number 3, reduce weeds naturally. Dense cover crop growth shades the ground and outcompetes weeds, reducing the need for herbicides or extra weeding. Number 4, fix nitrogen and add nutrients. Legume cover crops like clover or cowpeas pull nitrogen from the air and store it in the soil, cutting down on fertilizer needs. Number 5, manage flooding and improve drainage. Root systems create natural channels in the soil that improve water infiltration, helping gardens handle New Orleans' frequent downpours. Number 6, support pollinators and biodiversity. Many cover crops flower and provide food for bees, butterflies, and other beneficial insects. Number 7, cool and protect the soil. They reduce soil temperature and moisture loss, keeping roots healthy throughout the city's hot, humid summers. Thank you for taking time to not only add cover crops, but to also define it and educate those who need to know. Michael DeLashmet writes, I am writing in support of the proposal to exempt cover crops from property maintenance requirements regarding weed growth. I'm a professional grower operating here in New Orleans and can speak to the importance of cover crops in maintaining and improving soils. One of the greatest challenges to growing in the city is the soil structure, which is composed mostly of clay. Most cultivated plants, vegetables for example, will not grow well in these soils. Cover crop is a cheap, simple, and sustainable way to improve soil structure and nutrient content each and every year. Factors which not only improve soil fertility, but also soil drainage, which can reduce the impacts of flooding. It requires no heavy machinery or chemicals inputs. Without this exemption, urban growers face unnecessary challenges that do not serve anyone. Cover cropping is the best way to improve soil fertility. We should be removing any legal obstacles to practices that improve the fertility of our city, and improving this proposal would be a huge step in that direction. Zoe Johnson writes, I am writing in support of the proposal to exempt cover crops from property maintenance requirements regarding weed growth. Cover crops are a vital part of growing nutritious food in our urban farms and ensuring our soil can absorb water as possible when it rains. Urban farming is very challenging, and this seems like a reasonable change to help our local farmers thrive. Ben Kalongas writes, I support the addition of language to the city code that defines cover crops and exempts them from the 10-inch weed height limit. Nelson Gode writes, please consider making this amendment in support of New Orleanians that are invested in revitalizing urban soils in our city. Not only can it contribute to a decrease in food insecurity by improving soil for food crops, it will benefit all of the city by increasing soil health and reducing potential erosion. And Megan Knapp writes, I support exempting growers who use cover crops from the 10-inch weed height limit and from being inappropriately cited for blight. Cover crops provide numerous environmental and agricultural benefits. They build soil organic matter, improve fertility by capturing excess nutrients after harvest, increase soil moisture retention, prevent erosion, reduce nutrient runoff, limit soil compaction, and can even help reduce some pests. All things we can certainly use in this city. And that concludes the online comments.
Thank you, Ashley. Council President Morrell.
Thank you. Can Representative from RRS come up for a second? Can you address Ms. Prevost's concerns regarding rodents, please?
Yes, good afternoon. Grace Treffinger, Office of Resilience and Sustainability. Thank you so much to Councilmember Harris for introducing this. Happy to address those concerns, and I have spoken with Ms. Prevost, and I will happily work together with her and anyone else who shares those concerns. My response to that is just that we know we struggle with thousands of vacant lots across the city already that are definitely a problem for rodents, for blight, for neighborhood safety, for all sorts of reasons that y'all are well aware. These lots are really, the folks that are practicing cover cropping are actually trying to contribute to a solution by actively managing the land rather than letting it just be overgrown with weeds. Actually, it's interesting, in Detroit, they have an urban agriculture ordinance that requires cover cropping or mulching or drainage controls because of the benefits that they can provide to both reducing runoff from stormwater as well as retaining soil from like filling storm drains and things like that. So it's a really intentional practice, again, if practiced responsibly, which we work actively with the growing community to ensure that really what it can do is suppress weeds from growing and reducing the reliance on chemical herbicides and things like that. So, and we've worked closely with the Director Anthony Davis and the Department of Code Enforcement to ensure that we're doing this in conjunction with their department, and that it's, you know, of course, people who are letting their lots get overgrown will continue to get citations and violations. This is really a very small group of people who are actively practicing urban farming and intentional land stewardship.
Well, I appreciate the answer. I'll look forward to working with you. I think that, and this doesn't deal with today necessarily, but I think that certainly it is a valid concern because we have a lot of bad actors who I would hate to see them seed their lots they don't want to cut with ryegrass and say, I'm secretly an urban farmer, but I think that that's something we could probably clarify later on.
Right.
It's a legitimate concern. I think that we're probably gonna address it later, but
Yeah.
my wife is an urban farmer, so I do understand the benefits of cover cropping.
Right.
But yeah, I think you've addressed my questions. I appreciate it.
And I will add, I brought them, I forgot to bring it up here, but we are working with urban farmers to kind of bring them more to the forefront with signage that says regenerative garden in progress, and those are only distributed to,
She's got the sign.
Okay.
I mean, I think that would certainly be helpful because it will allow us to differentiate, Mr. Davis to differentiate between
Right.
someone who's actually cover cropping and someone who's just growing a lot.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And just to put a fine point on it, I do have it.
Burnside has a last minute card.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. But I have your info sheet that says seed formation of any plants can attract rodents similar to vegetable, fruit, and flower cropping. There is not an increased risk of rodent activity with cover crops when compared to growing crops for market or for home consumption.
Correct.
So no matter what, whether it's an overgrown lot or cover cropped lot or even just a garden variety garden,
Right.
just by virtue of living in a city, we're going to have rodents.
True, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Burnside?
Mike Org, Burnside, 2215 Felicity. I do know sticking my nose in at the last second isn't necessarily appreciated by everybody, but I will state the following. It is possible, perhaps, to give permits for urban gardening. I mean, there is some way to distinguish between people who wish to help their neighborhood and people who wish to exploit it. And that is one of the functions of government. It's not always a matter of revenue raising, and it's not always a matter of denying people the opportunity to act. Sometimes it's a matter just to help the neighbors differentiate between people who are there to actively help them and people who are there to actively harm them. So permitting is not always evil, and it's certainly one of the things you could do for urban gardeners. And one of the acts of the permitting of an urban gardener is the right to do cover cropping. And if you do not have a permit to be an urban gardener, then perhaps you should not have the right to do cover cropping. We do live in a city, and we do not live in the countryside, and we do need to make accommodations for the fact that people bought to live in a city and did not buy to live in a rural neighborhood. And we unfortunately live in a city with a huge, staggering number of tens, if not 20,000 vacant lots, and do have to accommodate that reality. But nonetheless, neighbors, as Councilperson Green has often reminded me, matter. So we need to take that into account. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burnside. I've moved, Councilmember Green.
I heard that in your voice. You thought we were moving on.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. It'll only take me a second to say this. I just want to say to the administration, I appreciate you moving forward. In my community, for example, in my district, there are thousands of vacant lots.
Right.
And it's a reality that, unfortunately, in certain communities like Desire, I'm not going to be able to develop 3,000 lots in a short period of time. Urban farming and the benefits of it is something that, I'm glad that the administration has taken on. I've been kind of talking about it for a while. But in this particular case, I understand the concerns of neighbors who see too many overgrown lots in their communities. The signage is good. I'm asking the urban farming community to even maybe unite, to recognize that the communities around us are concerned about it and they want to see it happen, but they want to see it happen in the right way. So cover crops are so important in many respects if you're going to really do something with the land. For example, we have a ton of lots that people just go through and they cut over and they just damage the lots in their environment. An organized fashion of maybe getting some of those owners to engage in urban farming is something that could be welcome. So I'm just appreciative of the administration. The signage is good. Let's work together in that industry, recognizing the concerns of the community, and let's work together in that industry because there's a lot of opportunity available. I appreciate everybody who's involved with it.
I would love that. Yeah, and we have established the Urban Agriculture Working Group with many folks in this room and others who are working to kind of expand and strengthen the local
And
gardening.
let's go into community meetings and talk to people about them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank
Four.
you.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you for your work. I've moved. Seconded by Councilmember King. 6 yeas. Thank you.
Thank you.
At the top of the page on 19, ordinance calendar number 35241 by Councilmember Jeruso by request. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana Workforce Commission with a term greater than 1 year for the public purpose of the state of Louisiana Workforce Commission providing funding to the city of New Orleans for the provision of employment and training services to the citizens of New Orleans in accordance with Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act and local and regional workforce development area plan as more fully detailed in the intergovernmental agreement Exhibit A and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion to approve. Seconded by Councilmember King. 5 yeas, no nays. Thank you very much.
Ordinance calendar number 35,242 has been deferred to October the 23rd and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. Ordinance calendar number 35,247 by Councilmember Morrell, an ordinance to amend and reordain section 26-622 of the code to permit pre-compliance review for certain short-term rental platform reporting requirements and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What this simply does is there was a ruling in September in district court regarding Airbnb regulations, regarding STR regulations, and this simply attempts to change the law to make it compliant with that ruling from the district court. So that's what the ordinance does. I will move. Can I get a second? Second, Councilmember Freddie King. Please vote your machines. 5 yeas, no nays. It is adopted. I will now move that we go into executive session as established on the calendar. Second by Councilmember Thomas. Oh, do you have a comment on our executive session? All right, come on down.
Oh, getting fat. All right, so executive session with regards to the Wisner donation. Different people tell me different things, and some people make fun of me as an attempt to communicate with me, and I don't always appreciate it. But people have brought up all kinds of different stuff. One of the things they've told me is we can't sell the land. And one of the reasons they've told me that we can't sell the land is because we do not actually own it. So at some point, maybe in the future, it would be nice to have somebody who runs the Wisner land or trust or fund or whatever, sit in these beautiful chairs in front of us and just describe what is it. Because I've come to the conclusion that a lot of us have assumptions about what it is, and whether our assumptions are true or false are always disputed by others who truly believe they know what the Wisner land is, and we're left without a body of common facts from which to have policy disagreements. So it would be a stunningly wonderful thing for you just to call everybody in, whoever the everybody is, and fill all the chairs and spend a good half an hour hashing out what this mess a dead man has left us. Thank you.
I don't know if that's fair. Mr. Wisner, 100 years ago, left his land, his assets
I'm sorry,
to the
I
city
think
of
there's
New
some
Orleans.
confusion. The Wisner is not on the executive
agenda.
session list.
I think it's technically on there, but I don't think we're discussing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to clarify that for a second. The action up there at City of New Orleans versus Apache, Louisiana is the litigation involving coastal restoration.
I'm terribly sorry, but on page 9, it specifically states, Council of the City of New Orleans versus Edward Wisner's donation
I
et al.,
apologize.
case number
Thank you,
222
I apologize.
et
Thank you,
cetera.
Mr. Burnside. All right, any other comment? All right, I've moved. Councilmember Thomas seconded. Please vote your machines. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, unanimous. 6-0.